Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Cigar Guys podcast. We are here in the studio with Zachary Nikolai, co-host, and some special guests. We have Fabian and Jeff from Aganorsa Leaf. Thank you guys for being here.
What's up? What's up?
Our pleasure, brother. Thank you for having us.
So we're going to go through
I had no choice.
You did not. We're going to have to go through a little exercise here, and I'm going to let these guys explain what's going on here. But give us some brief introductions, how long you've been with the company, and how you got into cigars and stuff like that.
Am I starting?
Go for it.
Okay. I lost a bet to get in the cigar industry. No, actually, a buddy of mine about 12 years ago, his family, generational grandfather, father, and my good friend, all cigar brokers back in the Carolina area for a long time. Either way, gave me a phone call, asked me to meet a guy who at the time was business partners with a guy by the name of AJ. I think you all know now. This is about 12 years ago. Convinced me on a Tuesday. Got a phone call on a Tuesday. Convinced me to meet with them on a Thursday for a meeting. Then convinced me 2 days later to get on a plane to fly to Vegas to do a working interview at the what was known as the IPCPR. So I showed up in Las Vegas not knowing at all what I was doing and was told to go sell cigars. I did very well, very quickly, thank God. AJ is masterful. However, they came back, they offered me a contract. I left the business that I was in, and overnight I was in the cigar industry. Okay.
Well, what business did you leave?
I was an insurance broker.
Okay.
Yeah. So I figured if I could tell somebody a piece of paper that says, God forbid you break a leg and somebody's going to show up and pay your bill, well, hopefully I can sell you a cigar that's a consumable item that you're going to need more of, and we can continue that, happy cigar circle of life. And it's worked well.
And then in 20 years, you go back to selling insurance to the same people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm in it for the long play. Yeah. And with Aganorsa, once I became a broker, I've been with them going on my 5th year now, I believe.
Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
A long, long time ago, I'd say year 2000, I smoked a cigar. Luckily, someone cut that cigar for me and lit the other side because I didn't know what I was doing. But I got in the cigar industry just by luck. A friend, just kind of like Jeff. Listen, it's not real tough to get in the cigar industry, right? Someone, or
It's
either,
impossible to get out. It's like the mafia.
Right.
yeah, or you know someone, or you just such a fanatic of a company and you just keep calling them and go, I got to work for you, I got to work for you, I got to work for you. That's not what I did. But I knew someone, and he told me that the company that he worked for at the time wanted to hire me. Why? I have no idea, because I had no sales experience. But I got hired, and 24 years later, I'm still in the cigar industry. As for joining Aganorsa, I've been with Aganorsa for 141 days.
Wow. Very long
very
time.
Specific.
Give
that's
or take
more
7
than 5.
days. Yeah.
9 hours, 37 seconds.
Yeah, literally, I joined Aganorsa July 1st of this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, before I was with Aganorsa, I was actually with Drew Estate for 19 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was literally one of the very first people in 2000 working in the U.S. market for Drew Estate. Started in California, then regional manager, then director of sales, director of marketing, director of consumer engagement, director of international sales, and then a director of sales again, and then director of marketing. I had like a full house of directorships, cards, working at Drew. I left, took 4 years off, told everyone I would never go back in the cigar industry. And then Terrence at Aganorsa calls me and goes, hey, let's have a conversation. So he calls me.
Started.
And that's, well, for me to go back in the cigar industry, I was burnt out. I was traveling 25 days a month. And, I had a girlfriend back then. Now she's my wife, but very understandable. And being on the road 25 days, which made the first 4 years of me being with her it felt like honeymoon stage. It was 4 years, but in all actuality, it was like 98 days, right? Because I was on the road all the time. So I pretty much told them I couldn't do that anymore. I'd be on the road for 15 days, 2 weeks a month. And they're like, no, just... we need you to keep doing what you need to do. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to go. And I left, so literally I was by my pool watching clouds go by in Miami, smoking a hookah, smoking a cigar. And Terrence calls me. And I knew that if I was going to go back in the cigar industry, it would be with a company that of people that I understand, people that believe in the same beliefs that I do, and people who are willing to work and do all the stuff. I got no problem working. And 5 minutes into the conversation with Terrence, and I'm like, man, this 6'7" giant, skinny guy thinks exactly like me. So why not? Let's go at it. And I've been having fun ever since, man. I'm blessed. I truly haven't been working. I haven't worked a day in 25 years because I truly enjoy what I do.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to do today.
Well, hopefully we're going to smoke cigars, and hopefully we're going to learn a few things. Hopefully our rep, who's been with us for 5 years, is going to learn a few things too, because I was at an event with him last night, and
I hope that guy shows up soon.
No, so real quick. So Aganorsa has been around for close to 30 years, right? And we're the largest grower of tobacco in Nicaragua. In the industry, we're the second largest. Only Plasencia grows more tobacco than us. But Plasencia has Nicaragua and Honduras. If you solely take Plasencia, Nicaragua, we're the biggest.
Okay, gotcha.
But they're Nicaraguan and Honduran put together. They're far ahead of anybody. So I'd like to say a close second, but we're second.
Right.
But we'd like to say, hey, we're first in Nicaragua, and that's what matters, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So we grow a lot of tobacco, and what we do is at our events, and I invite everyone who goes out and look for Aganorsa events all over the place, wherever you are, because this is one of the things that we offer, and we challenge the senses in a sense, okay? And as we go along, I'll tell you why.
Usually my challenge is common sense. Thank you.
I was just going to say you can speak anytime you want,
sense. Not a
but
lot of
maybe we
people
don't
have
want
it.
you to talk anymore.
I could have gone that route. I messed it up.
Don't worry, we'll cut him out. We'll cut him out.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this lovely coffee I've got this
There you
morning.
go.
Oh,
Yes.
Me too. Cheers.
Yes.
Yeah.
There
You've
you
been working
go.
hard all
Enjoy.
morning,
Yeah,
so
thank
you
you.
know.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
That's a weird shade of coffee that you have.
He has
Yeah,
iced
I
tea.
know.
He's drinking iced tea.
Exactly.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with iced tea in the morning. All right. So what we do is at our events we call Fuma tastings. So Fuma tastings is literally one leaf. So what we're gonna do is we roll these little cigars over here. It's one leaf. So imagine a leaf. We devein it. So when you devein, you have a right and a left. And we take one of the sides. It doesn't really matter. It becomes the filler. The other side becomes the wrapper of this nice looking ugly stick. But in a sense, you're gonna truly taste the essence of one leaf.
Okay.
And then
You guys want some too?
and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna slowly build to smoking a different one, and then you're gonna understand what a well-balanced cigar is. You guys have smoked cigars all the time for a long time, and you've heard of the phrase a well-balanced cigar. But can you truly define a well-balanced cigar?
After this episode, I will.
Okay,
Well,
all
I
right,
was going
good.
to say too, I mean, every cigar is well balanced, that's what they tell you. Oh,
Yeah.
this is well balanced cigars. So we're going to learn now what actually defines a well balanced cigar.
Exactly. So the first one you're gonna smoke is the Corojo 99. Okay, Corojo 99. So what I want you to firstly do is you take a couple sniffs. It's gonna whatever you smell, and then you're gonna just start smoking. Take a a pre-light draw, and then you're gonna light it up like a cigar. And as you're smoking this, you're gonna let your mouth talk to yourself, and your mouth is gonna start speaking to you.
And slow and go. You get a lot of smoke real quick. So don't,
Yeah.
it's not a tightly rolled cigar. It's just one loose leaf.
So let me just describe the area where this leaf is from, right? This leaf is from Esteli. Now, first of all the leaves we'll be trying are Viso, right?
Yeah.
There's the first 4 leaves are Volato, then it's Seco, then Viso, and then Ligero. And the reason why we do Viso is because the Viso is the leaf or the part of the plant that has the most oils, thus the most flavor, right? Okay. So this Viso, this plant is grown in Jalapa. So Jalapa is the northern part of Nicaragua. It's closest to the Honduran border. And literally, it's where all the Cubans, when the first Cubans that came to Nicaragua, when they came from Cuba and they came to Nicaragua, they went to Jalapa region. Why? Because if you have a map here, the longitude, it's the exact same longitude as Pinar del Rio, which is the fine, beautiful area in Cuba where they grow the Cuban tobacco. They also brought soil from them, from Pinar del Rio to Jalapa. Now, after many rainstorms and volcanoes and all that stuff, maybe all that soil's gone, whatever. But originally they brought soil from Cuba into the fields and whatnot. The soil is very loose, very sandy. Okay, so I like to say for a mental picture is this tobacco plant is on vacation. And what do I mean by that? It's stretching out under the sun. It's growing as far as it wants. And it's just enjoying the sun. It's about 1,000 meters above sea level, and you have a lot of water and a lot of sun and just chilling. So, what is happening to you when you're smoking this cigar? What are you tasting?
I'm tasting. It's very woody.
Okay.
There's some spice in there, especially if you retrohale it.
Mm-hmm.
But very flavorful, like right from the beginning. You're getting a lot of flavor out of there. A lot of spice, a lot of woods.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of like darker notes. Probably, yeah, a little bit of spice. Maybe some, I don't know, like espresso, maybe like a dark.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Okay, so this leaf right here attacks you.
some jalapenos, you know.
Oh,
No,
nice.
it's jalapa.
Saffron and
Jalapa, that's
nutmeg.
where it's
Oh,
from.
my bad. No.
This leaf attacks you horizontally. And
Okay.
what do I mean by that is the very first thing that should have happened is you get more saliva in your mouth. Okay?
That is what happened, actually.
So you got a lot more saliva. So both sides of your cheeks, and then over your tongue, you get some smoothness with a little bit of spice. But the overall attack is both side to side. So that's what I mean by leaf attacking you horizontally. Okay. All right. Now keep smoking this until you understand what that flavor does. Some people need three puffs. Some people need 18 puffs. Some people need to smoke the whole thing down. We got plenty, so whatever.
I might need like 3 or 4.
Okay, that's fine. Smart. So remember. So in your mind, you put it down, and you remember this is the Corojo 99. Now, while you're putting it down, and I'm passing you the Criollo 98, which is the next leaf. We are the only manufacturer to actually grow Corojo 99. The reason being is it's a very low yield, right? So when you're in the farming business and you want to go crops, it's all about high yield. But why do we grow this Corojo 99? Because we actually really love the taste and we really love what the flavor does. If you would have gotten this little, we would have been in Nicaragua and the little Nicaraguan dude would have given you this thing. He's like, this leaf, we call this leaf the gusher. And the first time that dude told me that, I'm like, do not ever say that when you're in the U.S. because the gusher in U.S. means something else. That's for another show. I think we taped that on late nights, Friday
Yeah,
nights,
that's
right?
a late night show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same,
all right.
same with Eduardo. When we saw the Palones, when we did the factory tour, he goes, here we call them Fumas. And he pulled out a leaf. One of the guys pulled out a leaf and rolled it up similar to this, clipped the end. And he goes, all right, who wants to smoke some reefers? And I'm like, I pause and I look around. I'm like, what all do we grow on this farm, right? I've seen tobacco so far, but yeah, they call it something different.
Oh,
over there
okay,
as well.
gotcha, yeah.
But what we call a Fuma here in the U.S.
So if we have a cigar that has Corojo 99,
Yes.
it's coming from your farm, basically.
Any cigar from any manufacturer that says it has Corojo 99 is from us.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Any cigar made with any tobacco anywhere in the world is all from Aganorsa. Don't take that.
Asterisk. There's an asterisk on there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Read the terms.
I mean, at the end of the day, because we are the largest in Nicaragua, we actually sell a lot of our leaves. Altadis is our number one purchaser of tobacco. Drew Estate buys our tobacco. Fuente, so Padron. We even give a little bit of tobacco to the Cuban government, but that's a story I could tell you when the mics are off.
Yeah, off the
But
record.
anyways,
Off the record.
yes. So now we're gonna do the same thing, but with the Criollo 98. Okay, so again, you take a little whiff, and then you're gonna take a pre-light draw, and then you're gonna start lighting that cigar, and you're gonna smoke it like a cigar. I wouldn't suggest you taking a big strong draw like you did for the first one.
Yeah.
Only because this one is gonna hit you in a different way.
Quintessential Nicaraguan tobacco. It hits you right.
Is it
right
going to
in
hit
the valley.
vertically?
It's gonna hit you vertically. That's right. It's gonna hit you vertically.
Oh, okay.
But you're gonna your mouth is actually gonna tell you why it hits you vertically, and you're gonna see why it hits you vertically. After the second puff, your mouth should be like very, very dry. The more you smoke, more you smoke it, the drier your mouth is.
That's weird.
Okay. Also, you should get a little hit on the back of your throat, and then you're going to get a little more spice. And if you're very fragile to strength, it's going to be a little stronger. Okay. The last thing is, after you take three or four puffs, if you put your tongue to the roof of your mouth, you should get a little salty flavor.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, don't be that guy that's like, oh yeah, that's like pink Himalayan salt and with rosemary and a sunny day in Tuscany. I'm like, yeah, dude. Okay, whatever. It's just salty. All right.
Yeah.
So that's that. So that's what I mean by this leaf hits you vertically, because it's not from side to side. It's not in your cheeks. It's straight down on your tongue, your palate, and then your the back of your throat. So you're understanding what that leaf does. Now, for a truly balanced cigar, guess what? You're going to need a vertical and a horizontal, so that way your whole palate gets attacked or gets brushed up.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is, after you get the that flavor a set, and you understand what that leaf does, make sure your first cigar is lit, and then you're going to smoke both of them together, and then you're going to hopefully get something completely different.
Remember the reference to reefers I spoke about? You're about to Cheech and Chong this thing. Put two of them together and smoke them at exactly the same time.
We're not passing it around though.
No. We got plenty. Everybody gets their own.
Right? So the extreme wetness of the first one and the extreme dryness of the second one now gives you a nice overall
Like balance. Yeah.
balance. And you can
I was
truly
gonna say, you can actually feel it being balanced almost.
Correct.
Like you feel it's more smooth. It kind of combines better.
Of course, one flavor profile can't be more dominant than the other. They have to marry together to make basically the simplest form of a blend.
And it feels like too there's more flavor overall because you're getting, flavors from one and the other.
It emphasizes them.
It's very good.
So if we were in a cigar event in a store and we would do this right here, then my next question would be, all right, so have you ever smoked any Aganorsas? And people are like, yeah, no, I don't know Aganorsa. I don't even know how to pronounce it, this and that, whatever. What's the deal with this? So then my question would be, well, did you like the 99 by itself better? Did you like the 98 better? Or did you like both better? And then by the answer that they give, I can pinpoint you to specific brands that we have, so you have a better chance of liking your purchase, right? So that's what we do in our Fuma tastings. Now here's the added bonus. There is one extra leaf that we do if a store carries the Cerberus. The Cerberus is a line out of the Guardian of the Farm, and it's truly the only blend that we have that uses the Corojo 2012. So then what you're going to do is you're going to put those two of those down, and then you're going to light up the Corojo 2012.
I was going to say it's a similar seed, Corojo, the first one that we smoked, the 99, but it's grown in the region of the second seed, the 98.
Okay.
So it's, if you put a family tree, it comes from the lineage of the C99, which then they genetically tweaked it a little bit, and then they started growing it in Esteli. And the reason why they tweaked it is one of the reasons why I told you at the beginning, we're the only ones to grow 99 because of the low yield. And when we wanted to get more yield, then they tweaked it, and then now this one grows like a weed. It just grows. There's no problem. It just grows like crazy. It actually breaks through that clay soil very easily. It's just like it's like a bully, right? So when you're smoking that, then you're gonna realize what a bully leaf does, and then you're gonna let me know what happens, what's happening in your mouth.
So I'm not a salted caramel kind of guy, but it to me is leathery. It's got spice and leather. I've never smoked a belt, but that's the best way I can describe it, me personally. Right?
I could see that, yeah. I got a little bit of saltiness at the beginning. I think it kind of went away though. But I could see it's leathery.
It should be
spicy.
more up in your face.
Yeah, it's kind of more in the nostrils too.
Yeah. So then
Yeah, very much.
Ultimately, when you finally get that blend, that flavor, and you understand it, then you're going to grab the other two, and you're going to smoke all three of them. Make sure the other two are still lit, and then you're going to smoke all three of them together. And literally, if you enjoy that flavor, I can give you a Cerberus, and it's the exact same thing.
Which is a really good cigar too.
Yeah, this you really feel at the front of your mouth, the front of your face.
Yeah.
That's where you taste all the spices and everything.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's what we do. And I mean, every manufacturer does events in stores, right? And everyone's like, oh, buy 4 get 1, and buy a box get a car, and whatever. At our event, we someone buys a box, I give them a hug. That's what we can do. But we give them knowledge before the event starts by trying out all these Fumas. So again, smoke them as much as you want. Put them down, whatever. We got plenty of cigars over here that Jeff will tell you about all these cigars coming up. But it's literally one leaf, and I've seen people like pull out a roach clip on one specific one because they want to smoke it down all the way to one, and I've seen people just chuck all 3 of them, and I've seen people just smoke 2 for the rest of the evening. So it is what it is. It's just more to work out your mouth, and now you understand. And the cool thing is when you're out there in the humidor and you're buying other cigars, and you get that familiar flavor, you're like, oh wow. This cigar has Aganorsa tobacco. I
think it's great too because especially people that start smoking cigars, it's harder to pick up flavors in your brain. People are like, oh, I taste cedar, cocoa, and then you're sitting there like, I don't know what you're talking about. But this kind of isolating it is probably a really good way to help people. Okay, this one's salty, this one's whatever, this one's more woodsy, and that probably helps them kind of conceptualize what people talk about when they say, I taste this now, I taste this now.
Shoot, I mean, even with me, I've been smoking since I'm 18, and like this is amazing me on like the different flavors. No, seriously, I mean, because you've done this before.
Yeah, and
it's he looks like he's 19, so I think he's been smoking like a year or something.
6 months.
He's actually 17. But then you're able to have the taste change, like, every minute if you want to. You can kind of go back and forth and better understand what's going on.
Well, back to what the director, which I'm going to nickname you now with all the director titles you had. So from a sales standpoint, even if customers are not picking up, salt and sweet and all, the things that we say that you should generally get on your palate.
Right, because everyone's different.
Senses, right. Just from an easy sales standpoint, again, going back to what the director, see what I did there, was talking about earlier, somebody will come up to the table and, they can recognize a few brands. I can ask them a blend they've smoked or what are in a very general question. You like light, medium, or full? Oh, I like medium. Well, medium means 1,000 things to 1,000 different people. So how do I discern what you consider to be medium, right? This process truly allows us to take out the guesswork. Your palate, your tongue is going to start to give us the answer. And the same thing he said, did you like the first? Did you like the second? Did you like the third? Did you like all 3? Did you like the first 2? Whatever they kind of say, we can pinpoint very close on the table to what they're generally going to like. They're literally, their tongue just gave us the answer, right?
That's a good point too, because I feel like some people, when they define strength, it might not always be the nicotine content. It might be like the flavor that they're getting.
And
if
spice.
It's a strong flavor.
Boom. Yep.
So that's exactly what you're talking about, I think.
And for me, if a cigar is very spicy all the way through, and I love spice, I always say, man, the cigar is too strong, even though it's not the strength of the cigar.
It's just a
flavor profile,
and it comes out of my mouth every time, and I go, I mean, it's too spicy, right? I correct myself. But if it's just like a Habano squirrel that doesn't back off, and I'm like, man, I need it to back off a little bit or start slow and pick up. That's my palate.
Because sometimes you might smoke a cigar that you think is on the more mild side, and then all of a sudden you're feeling it, and you're like,
whoa,
this is full body.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. All the manufacturers way back when did a crappy job of explaining cigars because they came out with 2 scales, right? So you have the strength scale and the flavor scale, but yet most cigar smokers only have 1 scale. So you have to understand when someone comes into a humidor and they're like, oh, I want a mild cigar, mild strength, mild flavor. And then they're like, what? So then you have to give them the difference. Just know that Aganorsa, any cigar, that Aganorsa tobacco, we don't have mild flavor because all our tobacco is Nicaraguan. So we're at least at medium plus flavor. Now we've come up with mild cigars, but the majority of our cigars are medium plus because we blend extensively all these powerhouse Nicaragua, Esteli tobaccos and Jalapa. So we're more medium plus full flavor, thus more a little bit stronger. And like he was saying, strength is not necessarily correlated to spice. That you could have a mild body spicy cigar, right? And in a sense, when you're picking out a cigar, and most likely you're going to pick out a cigar and you're going to drink something, people are like, oh, what's your pairing? How do you pair this and that, whatever, blah, blah. Well, so I always tell this to people. It's like, pairing is a very tricky thing because you have a great cigar and you can have a great bourbon or scotch or rum.
They just don't go good together.
And they don't go together because they're both full body, which they fight, right? So ultimately, before you start pairing anything, you want to go into the pairing with what do you want more of? Do you want more flavor from the liquor? Do you want more flavor from the smoke, the cigar? And then depending on where you are, then you're going to pick either a stronger liquor or a stronger cigar. And then that's going to marry very, very well.
And if I can jump in on this as well, when people say, oh, what does it pair well with, this, that, and the other? Again, it's very tough for me to answer that for somebody because, like, again, I'm a bourbon guy. I mean, I like coffee in the morning. A
lot of coffee.
But it's very subjective to each person.
Right. I don't like scotch. There's not a lot of scotches that I've drank in my life that sit well on my palate. So I can't sit there and say to somebody with all honesty, oh, this cigar pairs great with a scotch. Why? Because I don't like my cigar with a scotch, right? I like a rum. I like a bourbon. I'm generally something a touch of sweetness, which I like combined with the spice. On my palate, those two sit very well. I don't want a peated scotch because it's going to, unfortunately, ruin the taste of my cigar because I don't like peated scotch. So it's hard to say, can you pair something? Or people say a beer. I'm not an IPA guy. So I can't sit here and tell you to have a 90-minute IPA with this cigar. It's going to taste great because the cigar may be great. I don't think the IPA is great.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
They keep staring at these cigars over here.
All right. So, let's. Oh, by the way, and with the Fuma portion as well, I know we tell you, smoke one, smoke two, smoke three, smoke 1 and 2 together, all 3 together. You can actually have a little fun with it. You can smoke number 1 and 3 and make your own.
Well, I was going to say, I was smoking 1 and 3 for a little bit.
Yeah, you can smoke 2 and 3 together. You can have fun with it. You can change it up. So we brought a plethora of cigars. Gentlemen, feel free to jump in. Obviously, we have Connecticut.
Well, why don't you ask them which blend of the Fumas they liked?
Great call, sir.
So what if I said 1 and 3?
Then I'd say, we're not here. We'll close shop.
No, I would actually give you the La Validacion Corojo.
Exactly.
I'll try that one,
All right.
The one with the arm.
And how about you?
I liked all 3, to be honest. All 3 together.
Okay, well,
Cerberus,
we're screwed because
sales guy failed you once again. I have no Cerberus with me.
Whoever the sales guy was.
Have you had the Cerberus before?
I haven't.
Okay.
For anyone watching, they're taking interviews. It's been a great time working with Aganorsa. Today is officially my last day. Yes. Yeah.
Well, see, I didn't smoke, 1 and 3 and 2 to 3 together. So.
Okay.
Well, do you want you want to try it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
He's got it. He can relax.
I mean, ultimately, you'll smoke whatever one you want, but I mean, it would be good.
What do you
more
want?
beneficial?
Stage left. What are you having over there, sir?
I like 1 and 2.
1 and 2. So that's closest again to the original Guardian, but that'd be a good blend right there. Can never go
I will
wrong
give
with a
you
rare
the
leaf.
Torpedo or the Bellicoso Rare Leaf Maduro, sir.
Yeah.
Which is a very special cigar. We only sell that to 137 customers or 137 accounts nationwide. Those accounts are deemed select partners of ours. So enjoy that.
Fabian, what would you like? What did you like best, Fabian?
I
He likes the air.
I love the coffee. Actually, the coffee was very good. I'm going to smoke an Aganorsa Connecticut Anniversario. Yes.
Well played.
Let's see. Let's do 2 and 3. What do you got for me?
2 and 3. Oh, it's most likely going to be that
This
one
guy's
right there.
got jokes.
Yeah.
And what's the red box?
Okay. So here's
this. Fabian's project. Look at this thing.
My project. It's called New Cuba Superior, right? So New Cuba Superior is a very different cigar. It's also going to be one of the most important cigars for the history of Aganorsa, only because in a cigar smoker's journey, everyone starts off with sweet or mild, then goes up, right? The person I've never heard of, and if there is, please call into the show. But if someone's ever started their smoking journey with a full body cigar, it was not only their first, but it was their last cigar also.
Really?
Wow. You?
I'll tell you this. I had a Padron 1926 Maduro as my very first cigar.
Ring, ring, collar, you're on.
And
Tell
I'm
us
still
what
here.
cigar you just smoked.
Okay, all right. Well, there's one. There's that one. We found the unicorn. Okay.
So I was smart too, though, because I got a smaller one. It was probably a 4-inch, something like that.
Okay.
So I was able to finish it, and I enjoyed it. I didn't know why, but I enjoyed it. And then I came back and got maybe a couple more of the Padrones to try, but then I started branching out to figure out what was going on. So I was on a Davidoff hike for a while, And then I was like,
all right, so you went strong, but then you went down to
exactly.
mild.
So I was kind of all over the place for a minute.
Well, you know what it was though. We were sold on Davidoff, right? So we would go in, right across the street all the time, and then we kind of just started. Someone's like, "Oh, these are the best cigars you could get." So then we just started smoking them, every time we went in there. And we were young, we didn't have any bills, but we were both working, so we're both making money, and so we just kept smoking. And finally, I forgot who it was. Might have been Denny or something. But he's like, "Oh, try this one." And then so we started branching
something a little
out.
more budget friendly.
Yeah. But we started branching out.
Try an Aganorsa, stuff like that.
I like Davidoff as well, but I love when I run into the rep and he gives me a few of them to take with me.
Of course, yeah.
Nice. Easier on the pocketbook.
Yeah, especially nowadays, with inflation.
Hey.
Well, so here's the thing, right?
Unfortunately, sir, you were out of the room, so you're going to get skipped on a cigar, but we're going to enjoy on your behalf. We have plenty if you'd like something.
Back in 2000, okay, so we found the two guys that
what you want?
didn't follow through with my plan.
Thank you.
Right? We should have worked this out before I started my story here, but here's the thing. When I was with Drew Estate, all we had is acid cigars. The most non-traditional cigar in a very traditional industry. And people didn't really understand it. But it wasn't until I went around and I sold some and I passed out a whole bunch and this and that, people understood. And I was starting to create new cigar smokers. So since 2000, the majority, like maybe 98.3%, people start smoking with a sweet cigar. Mm-hmm. Whether it's an infused cigar or a flavored cigar, which I could tell you what the difference is if you don't necessarily know.
Actually, yeah, explain that for the audience because
so
it gets confusing.
So a flavored cigar, the flavor of the flavor is put onto the leaf, whereas an infused cigar, the flavor is actually absorbed by the leaf. So a flavored cigar, the sweetness or the flavor is actually put on, and it has a lower heat index than the actual tobacco. So as you're pulling through and you're taking the hot air after it goes through the portion of your cigar, it's lit, it's hot air, and then it goes in and it burns all the flavor off the cigar, which means if you're smoking a flavored cigar, usually about halfway through, that flavor is gone and you're just smoking just air. Like it doesn't really taste anything. That tobacco doesn't really taste anything. An infused cigar, the flavor is actually in the leaf, so the flavor gets burnt as the leaf burns. So from the first puff to the last puff, you're going to taste the same flavor. Now, some people are like, oh, well, it was very sweet at first, and it's not so sweet at the end, but I'm still tasting the natural botanical and herbal oils. But the reason is, when you first put a sweet cigar in your mouth, your subconscious works against you because it's like, sweet? This shouldn't be sweet. Mm-hmm. So you focus on the sweetness, and then it's only after you take a couple puffs or you go along with it, then your mind stops worrying about that this thing is sweet, and then it allows the sweetness to be part of the cigar. So it's not like the sweetness that never goes away. It's just that the sweetness is not in the spotlight, right?
Okay.
So someone who smokes acid, a Sweet Jane, I actually created Sweet Jane.
Oh, really?
Tobacco Especial, Ambrosia, natural, flavored cigars. Then they start there. And then if you really think about it, in a smoker's journey, there's two big steps. The first big step is I'm going to start smoking cigars. But the next big step is going from a sweet cigar to a mild cigar, right? Because as we're growing up, we're all learning about sweet, we're all learning about sour, about salty and all that, but we never learned what tobacco is. You actually learn about what tobacco is by smoking cigars. By smoking different cigars, you understand what this type of tobacco gives you and all that stuff. So as you smoke more in different types, your knowledge of tobacco is getting bigger and bigger. So for someone who's never smoked a cigar, to go into, I want to try a mild cigar, that's the largest step. Going from mild to medium isn't necessarily a big step, and medium to full, some people are like, oh, but it's not, because you're starting to build a tolerance and you start wanting more and more and more. So why did I tell you this whole thing right here? Is because this cigar right here is going to be that cigar which is kind of like in between the infused and sweet cigars and the mild cigar. And what do I mean by that? Yes, it has some sweet notes to it. Yes, if you put it in your mouth, you're going to get some sweetness. But as you smoke the cigar, you're going to get that Aganorsa Leaf, which means you're going to get those earthy tones. You're going to get a little bit of spice. So as you have that little, Linus blanket, safety blanket of sweetness in the back going, yeah, I'm here. Just go a little further. Then you're going to start understanding what the tobacco does. So it's a cigar for people who want to start into the cigar industry. They want to start smoking. It's also a cigar for people who want to go from sweet to mild. And it's not a cigar. Hopefully, there's going to be a few people that smoke this cigar for the rest of their lives. But it's not necessarily going to be a cigar that for people are going to smoke for a long, long time. Heck, I smoked sweet cigars for 15 years. Right? It took me 15 years to get away from sweet cigars. Hopefully, there's 4 or 5 of those guys that latch onto new Cubas, and that's good. But the reason why it's more important for Aganorsa is because all our tobacco is more medium plus, strength-wise and flavor-wise. So we always only had the capability of reaching a cigar smoker on their journey about halfway through.
Okay, yeah.
So now we have the capability of reaching or getting to them a lot earlier. And as they're smoking the cigar, they understand the flavor, the consistency, the burn, the draw is nice. It's just the next step is, okay, well, what does Aganorsa have in mild? What do they have in medium and whatnot? So this cigar came out. It's coming out, and it's getting like really good reviews, and people are really, really loving it. So much so that we only have one. So you guys are gonna have to arm wrestle or rock paper scissors or whatever.
Thank you.
Best 7 out of 13.
We can chop it into 4 pieces.
We're just gonna turn off the cameras and then we'll share it.
Yeah. So hopefully you smoke it, and then you realize what I just said.
Okay, yeah.
Now, for you guys who've been smoking for a lot cigars for a long time, I would say smoke that cigar, the first cigar of the day, and smoke it with either a coffee or a tea, whatever English tea or whatever coffee. Your first puff is going to be sweet. It's going to feel like it's overly sweet, but then you take a sip of your coffee or your tea. That's going to coat your mouth and kind of wash the sweetness away. And then all your next puffs aren't going to be as sweet, and you're going to start to slowly understand and taste those Aganorsa tobaccos.
Okay.
I thought we dumped all the tea in the harbor.
Hey.
I got some left over.
Yes.
That's awesome.
If I can tell a quick story
Yeah,
about
go for it.
handing someone the last cigar of a sample along the way. I had a retail account where there are 2 owners, and generally you bring in 2 of every cigar so they can each individually try it and make a decision whether or not it's going to go on the shelf. So I saw something in my career that I never saw before. I handed the one stick over. The gentleman proceeds to light it up. The other gentleman tears off a piece of paper, folds it, nice little strip, is wrapping it around his finger several times, kind of crunches it down, makes like almost a ring, right? And kind of paying attention. I didn't know what they're doing. And next thing you know, he hands the lit cigar over that's clearly been in his mouth. He's been smoking. And the other guy takes the piece of paper and puts it on the end of the cigar, almost like a hookah tip. And then he proceeds to smoke a little bit of it as well. And they look at each other and they nod.
As a hookah smoker, I am so against that because hookah tips are made out of plastic.
Yeah.
Listen,
I was gonna say now we could do that for this cigar. We can all have our own paper mouthpieces.
Yeah, you can
I'm
do
not
that.
suggesting that. I'm just telling you what I saw. The good news is whatever that trick that those guys had worked well because they ended up ordering the product and
There
putting
you
it on
go.
the shelf and it went well. But yeah, that was new to me. Right.
And then we have the Connecticut too. Is that more on the mild side, or is that still medium plus?
Well, I don't want to take all the credit. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, this
There's
is
a
the
joke.
master blender of the Connecticut over here. And
I can tell he's wearing the blue shirt, blue
he
box.
can tell you the
Yeah.
whole story behind this.
Oh,
Okay,
listen.
so please tell us the whole story, Master Blender.
Let's be clear. It was a collaborative effort amongst the entire Aganorsa family. Subtle suggestions from all of us sales reps as our Anniversario Corojo, which is in a white box, selling very well. Came out with a Maduro, which has its own shade-grown Nicaraguan Corojo Maduro. Yes, we have our own Maduro leaf. We truly have a Puro top to bottom in the black box. And noticing on a company that we have many SKUs, we have about 5 pages of sales sheets, small line items. And at the time, really 3 Connecticut's in the entire company. Most everything we had was, again, like he said, medium, full. We didn't have a lot of Connecticut's in the organization. So, speaking with a couple of the other reps, hey, wait a minute, can't we do an Anniversario in a Connecticut? And it came out and it's done very, very well. So again, like to say, it's truly a collaborative effort because if you asked me how to make a cigar, I would have no idea.
Oh, you didn't try the tobacco in this cigar?
Yeah, people
You're
ask.
just a squeaky wheel?
You got to
Let-
do the Fuma,
Yeah. So when people generally ask me, I try to dumb it down. They're like, "Hey, what's in this?" And I go, "Tobacco." Yeah. And they're like, "Well, where's it from?" The ground. And they're like, "Oh, wow, he's really good at his job." So yeah, it's got me this far.
I'm
12
sold.
years. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, because I know
Squeaky wheel master blender. That's what I'm gonna call you.
It's the hair. It's the smile. That's
Yes.
it. People buy. Thank God.
So I would say we're probably got to pick some of those up because that's the only Anniversario we haven't had. Because we've had the Maduros, we've had the
Again, number one sales rep in the country.
Oh.
No,
There
we
you go.
have more in the
Oh,
car.
look at
We'll
that,
make sure to
yeah.
hook you up for
No,
you.
no,
Do
I
you have a
appreciate
piece
that,
of
yeah.
paper?
He sold
You
them
can
all.
have this.
yeah.
Let me try. Oh, here.
Remember the checkout?
I got my. I'll put the cellophane on it.
Hey, basically plastic. So.
Yeah.
Did you bring any hookah tips?
No.
Come on,
no,
Fabian.
No,
What
I
are
have
you
my own
doing? Who's
hookah.
failing us now?
I have my own hookah. I don't share my hookah with everyone else.
Come on, director.
Man. Master
So
blender.
yes. So again, we'll talk about a couple of our products. Some people out in the world, JFR was a very established brand just for retailers for a long, long time with what was Tropical and then Casa Fernandez and now Aganorsa over, again, 25, 30 years in the marketplace. And some retailers, have supported that line for a very long time.
Yeah.
And, the transition along the way. And they know us for some bigger ring gauge cigars, right? We make 60s, we make 70s, we make 880s, we make the new.
10 by 100.
There you go. We also make lunatics.
Brought to you by Aganorsa.
Yeah, Jared back there likes a big ring gauge in his mouth. But
Yeah, buddy. Good for you, pal. I'm glad I'm sitting over here.
Man.
So we just want to, highlight all of our brands. Not only do we have things like New Cuba, which again sell very well for us, Lunatics and JFRs, La Valedición series, which again, thank God for our buddy Terrence, who's not with us today. Marketing guru decided to take everything and uniform it. Right? We had. I think the Connecticut blend was in 20 count boxes and 4 sizes, and all the others were in 15 count boxes and 2 or 3 sizes. So we just kind of shirred everything up. Robusto Toro, Grand Toro, 15 count boxes.
Okay, yeah.
Connecticut, Corojo, Maduro, and of course Habano. So we wanted to make that beautiful block of Aganorsa on the wall in every retailer in the country if we can. That's our goal, right?
Well, here's the thing, right? So Terrence has been with us for 6 years.
Feels like a decade.
And he has done a phenomenal job because in the whole history of this company, not only did we just start as tobacco growers, but when we first started making cigars, we were called Tropical Tobacco, right? So Tropical Tobacco was the distributor of our cigars in the U.S., but they didn't really distribute too many cigars. It was more, private lines for other people and whatnot. So they were kind of like the importer.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what it was. And then in 2004, 2005, that's when they released the JFR, which is more of the bigger ring gauges, very price conscious, very flavorful, a lot of flavor, but more on the bigger ring gauges. So even me being new to Aganorsa, and I'm going around the nation and I'm visiting stores and I'm talking to people as they're smoking JFRs. I'm like, oh, so I'm from Fabian from Aganorsa. Have you smoked some Aganorsa? It's like, nah, I've never heard of it. I'm like, yeah, but you're smoking a JFR. It's like, yeah, no, this is my favorite cigar. I've been smoking this for 10 years. I'm like, oh, you've been smoking Aganorsa for 10 years.
A disconnect.
And then he's like, no, I haven't. I'm like, well, pick up the JFR box and look at who makes it. Oh, yes, JFR is made by Aganorsa. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So our best-selling brand, people didn't even know we made it, right?
yeah.
So then here comes more of a disconnect is Tropical Tobacco. They changed Tropical Tobacco to Casa Fernandez. And then they start releasing some of these cigars, some of the, I call it normal people size cigars, like Robustos and Toros and whatnot, in Casa Fernandez. Now, the problem is Fernandez is like the Smiths in the U.S. You open up the Fernandez or the phone book in Nicaragua, and like 2/3 of it is Fernandez, right?
Yeah.
And especially when there's like marriage and they keep last names and this and that, whatever. Next thing you know, the kid has 4 last names and 2 of them is Fernandez. So that's kind of weird, but it's 2 different segments of Fernandez. and everyone's got a house. So Casa Fernandez, it's like, oh, wow. People are going in. I don't know if that happened to you, but people are going in and you're trying to sell cigars. And, oh, yeah, we're Casa Fernandez. Oh, AJ makes those cigars for you? Yeah. No. We do. So then ultimately, when Terrence showed up, that was one of the very first things he did. He changed it to Aganorsa. Now, I'm going to totally butcher it. But Aganorsa is actually short for Agricultura Norca S.A., which is the name of our farms in Nicaragua. So that's, but that's a mouthful, even for me. So now they just named it Aganorsa, and we've heard many alliterations of people saying Aganorsa. It's not the easiest name to say, but ultimately we're at Aganorsa. And then, like Jeff said, we changed all our Casa Fernandez blends into something that makes more sense. So
the arm, baby, the arm.
The arm, yes. Unfortunately, if you look at our logo, we use Terrence's arm for the logo. We are looking for a new arm model, someone who works out.
We got
so we'll see.
2 big Albanian guys
Okay.
And if
Big
you,
ass
if you need
arms.
someone bigger, my cousin too. So yeah.
Okay, all right. So we'll take applications and pictures of just arms. By the way,
Yes,
of just
just
arms.
arms.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And speaking of butchering it, our newest addition to the JFR family, if somebody likes a 70 ring gauge, maybe they don't have 2-3 hours to smoke a 7x70. We have a much shorter version of 5-inch. It's called Mi Favorito, and
Awesome.
in Spanish, I think that means your baby's adorable. So
Okay.
try it. It's they're delicious.
So
We
it-
make
it would
them
be
in
a
Corojo
great
and of
newborn-
course Maduro.
A gift for
Yes.
like someone that just had a baby. you know?
Absolutely, that's what that means.
It's like, look at my little baby, and smoke it. Yeah.
Still on Rosetta Stone 1.
Oh.
Sorry.
This the distinction that's being well known now. So people are.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
with Aganorsa. So yes, happened last night actually. A
Yeah.
young man by the name of Clay in the coffee industry. He's sitting there looking at our line. I've never had any of your cigars before, and I start naming some names and get to one of the brands from Foundation or the company Foundation. Shout out to Nick Melillo, great blender.
Well, please tell the world all the cigars that we make for everyone else.
I'll get there. But so I happened to mention the El Wente and the Wise Man Maduro, and he goes, "I'm not lying. Those are my 2 favorite cigars that I buy all the time." And I'm like, "Well, you're in the right place, brother." Right? So it went very, very well. So listen, we make a lot of cigars for a lot of people. We make a lot of Warped. Shout out to Kyle. Again, just mentioned Nick Melillo. We do a lot of product for Lorenzo at HVC, Havana City Cigars. Viaje, wonderful.
Andre,
Yeah, wonderful business model. Andre, Lugion. Let's see, number
Dion.
10 cigar of the year was the Rare Pink. And again, thank God their master blender, Felix Mesa, posted on his Instagram page, "Thank you, Aganorsa, for the 1,800 bales." We didn't know if we were allowed to kind of talk about that. So when his post came out, I'm like, "Terrence, can I mention that now?" He goes, "They're the ones
Yeah,
that put it
it's
out."
fair
Yeah,
game.
It's fair game.
100%. So actually, again, credit to our organization, Aganorsa. Again, you can't smoke ratings, but a couple years back, I think number 3 cigar of the year at the time was the Wise Man Maduro from Nick. That year, number 8 was the Guardian of the Farm. At the time, it was under Warped with Kyle. The very next year, number 3 cigar of the year was Warped. I think it's called the Grand Reserve. That was number 3. And ours was number 7 in the Lunatic Short Robusto, I believe the Maduro. And we were the only one in the whole top 10 that was under $10. Heck, I think at the time it was maybe $6.50 a stick. So in reality, we had 4 cigars in the top 8 in back-to-back years that we made or someone else we blended. They blended from our factory. So, I'm hoping that our buddy Eduardo Fernandez, who's been masterful and growing and really taking over the agricultural world of Nicaragua and making growing tobacco, I'm hoping he gets his due here in the near future. I think truly
One of the
is
most
deserved.
humblest person,
Sweetest guy in the world. Actually, one of the when we had a sales meeting down in Miami, one of the beautiful things was really we make a new Cuba in an inexpensive mixed fill bundle as well. So after we started having a couple drinks and guys were loosening up a little bit, and we're all talking to Eduardo. One of the guys said, "Hey, Eduardo," he goes, "Every day, what's your favorite cigar from our company or that we blend for anybody else? He has access to everything. He owns it.
Yeah.
He goes, "I actually smoke New Cuba every day." And somebody chuckled and he goes, "No, this is a New Cuba taking the band off." He goes, and then this guy's a billionaire, right? He owns the company. It costs him nothing. He goes, "I feel bad. They're all like my babies." And he goes, "I get so busy. I get on the phone. I forget what I'm doing, where I laid my cigar down." And he goes, "And if I put down one of my better cigars from our company, it really hurts my heart. I've done that a few times." He goes, "So I don't feel quite as bad with a, maybe a $3 retail stick that I've left behind that
Right.
I'm searching for, and I can just light up another one." And it blew my mind that, and that's how confident he is even in our bundle product because it's all our tobacco,
Well, yeah, because you don't want anything to go to waste too. I mean,
Of course.
especially a product like this that you have to literally grow. It's all handmade. I mean, this isn't machine manufactured. So what you got
Back
is what you
orders
got.
comes with this business, right? And people don't really understand that unless they've been in this industry for a long time. I've talked to many people who were in different industries. They open up a cigar store or they buy a cigar store, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call, "Hey, so and so is back ordered." "Okay, yeah, we're working on getting more cigars." "Oh, well, I don't understand. I used to be in the Johnson & Johnson, and when the Aqua Fresh with the whitening toothpaste was out, we just plugged in and we just made more and we sold more." I'm like, I understand, but there's no Aqua Fresh tobacco plant.
Right.
It's tobacco is grown once a year in a sense. In a different country, it's grown like try to be grown 2 or 3 times to get more tobacco, but mostly in Nicaragua, it's grown once a year, and you only grow X amount and whatnot. Luckily for us, we have plenty of tobacco, right? So we probably use 15-20% of the tobacco that we grow every year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential for us to grow very, very fast, because if we need more tobacco, we just go to the barn and get more.
Yeah.
What does that mean 5 years down the road? If we go 5 years down the road, we go from 20 to 30%. Hey, we have that. That just means that 10%, we didn't sell it to anybody else, so it's their problem. So what I foresee in this industry, that it's still growing. It's marginally growing. We're still selling more and more cigars, but there's not more and more tobacco being grown, right? So there is going to be a shift on some of these companies that don't necessarily grow their own tobacco. They're going to either have to pay a lot more because the tobacco from the tobacco growers is going to be less available, because they're going to start using, their own stuff. That's also one of the coolest things with, our line, right? Going back to Eduardo's feeling is he wants every cigar smoker to have a chance and try to get their hands on any of our cigars. And what do I mean by that is the validation line, which is our core line, is anywhere between $9 to $11. Now, in some states with the high tobacco tax, it's gonna be $12, $13, but it's usually around $9 to $11 on the size. And our most expensive line, which is the Aniversario line, which is usually anywhere between $15 to $17, $18 for a Lancero. But
which is wonderful.
But yeah, that Corojo Lancero, which is a box 7x40 box press. Not too many box press Lanceros in this industry. But
can we make the Maduro in a Lancero, please?
Well,
asking for a
one
friend.
thing at a time. One thing at a time. But what I'm saying is, the guy who buys the $9 cigar, if he has something to celebrate, it's not too much of a jump to go to $16 for one cigar.
Yeah.
Right. In some other companies, they have their core line at $10, $12, and then their Aniversario or their special cigars are at $25, $30. That's big of a break. For us, since we're fully vertical from the field, from the plant to everything else, we work on good margins that Eduardo is happy with, margins throughout the whole lines and whatnot. And there's no middleman, because we're our own middlemen. And I mean, we would be dumb to screw ourselves. So we have the opportunity of being very price conscious and having wonderful cigars for good prices. I've told people this Aniversario line, if it was a private line for someone else, you could probably see this on the shelves for $23 to $28, and yet you're seeing it for $15 to $17. So
worth every penny. One of the things I try to, when you meet a customer and they're walking up and down the aisles and you want to get them onto your brand, and one of the companies, and again, I'm not trying to take a bat to the back of the head or get snatched and you never see me again. The Padron family make wonderful cigars. The 1000 series, the naturals and the Maduros, I try to, if I can, segue them over to our La Validacion, either Corojo or box press Maduro, because again, you probably want to be a, Aniversario smoker, but maybe the pocketbook is not $20, $25 a stick. You're more in that $9, $10 range. So anyone listening out there, keep smoking Padron, wonderful cigars. But if you ever get a chance to see La Validacion in a box press Maduro or Corojo, I promise you for, again, $8, $9, $10, you're going to get your money's worth and then some. So
absolutely, yeah.
That's my sales pitch. Sorry.
I mean, you got to sell a little bit while you're on here.
Trying to keep my job. It was touch and go in there in the beginning, so trying to bring it back around.
Someone was late.
Yeah. Hey, didn't even help me bring anything in.
You didn't ask.
I did everything.
You didn't ask.
I think he technically got here before you, but he had to.
Thank you.
But who'd you see first?
That is true. I don't know. Yeah,
Okay,
he could have
all
just
right.
said he was here. He's like,
Exactly.
Again, when you're the director, you just show up, right? All the laggies have to do everything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like me. I say, I'm on my way, but I'm still at the house.
Okay, Master Blender.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, he tried calling you up, and we were gonna tell you that we started without you, just to see what you'd say.
Happened once or twice. Talk to my girlfriend. Hey, don't.
Oh, wait a second.
No,
She started without
by
you?
herself.
What? Wait a second.
I'm good with that. I'm happy.
That's the Friday night conversation,
Yeah.
man. We're here Saturday, okay? All right.
Let's go back to the sweet tip conversation.
Now, you guys have any questions for us?
Man, you did a very good job of laying everything out. And I think you actually went through pretty much all our questions.
Yeah.
So
really?
we got to sit back and listen to you talk, which is great.
Okay.
And I do want to make a distinction real quick on the wonderful product that the director over here has put in front of us in the new Cuba Superior Sweet Tip. I did mention earlier our bundle product, which is a mix fill. This truly is a long fill product. I don't want you to confuse the two, one that comes in a bundle, one that comes in a box. I suggest you try this as well, even if you are a truly medium full-bodied smoker every day with a cup of coffee, or as this young man who loves tea, I would say smoke it in the morning with a what do you call it, Earl Grey or
Earl Grey, English breakfast.
something, I don't know.
Anything
Chai,
minty. I love
latte,
minty.
boba,
Well, no,
saffron.
chai, no.
A nice peppermint tea.
Peppermint
Oh.
tea.
Very good.
delicious.
Which, you know what? This is a conversation right here. You just brought this up, right? Why is it that I have to deal with pumpkin spice starting July 15th,
Yo,
and yet I only have 3 weeks of peppermint?
I think we were just talking about that. a few
What, you got
episodes
a problem
ago.
with pumpkin spice? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I'm
Hey.
more of a
okay,
I'm more
I
of
feel
a
you.
peppermint guy. Like you know, if I'm okay with peppermint, I'm okay with pumpkin spice for 6 months if I get 6 months of peppermint. But I get 3 weeks of peppermint and I get 6 months of pumpkin spice. I'm like, you know, when July 4th comes around, nothing about July 4th tells me about pumpkin spice. I'm sorry.
We were talking about this a previous episode. It seems like they keep bringing everything earlier and earlier. So you have pumpkin spice like as early as the midsummer, and then all of a sudden we have like the peppermint coffee and stuff November 1st. It's like, why can't we just push it back till December where we have, you know?
Everybody slow your roll.
Yeah, exactly. There's no fall now. It's just Halloween and then straight to Christmas.
But,
Which
but
you're a pumpkin spice guy?
I am a peppermint guy
he's
too.
16 years
Christmas.
old.
17.
Sorry,
you know
17.
macaroni and cheese? Kraft macaroni and cheese made of pumpkin spice macaroni and cheese?
Oh, you don't think I tried it day of?
Man.
Hey, by the
Kraft
way,
mac
I'm
and
joking.
cheese?
I'm joking.
anyone out
Yeah.
there, YouTube, if you haven't seen the SNL skit with Bill Burr and the Sam Adams commercial that they shoot for like their pumpkin spice beer or whatever it is, it's absolutely hysterical. 2 or 3 minutes. If you're having a bad day, it'll make you laugh, or it should make you laugh.
Yeah, so after this episode, when you're, you know, feeling a little down,
You're like, oh man, we left the Cigar Guys. Let me go
yeah.
watch
Open
it.
a new
so
tab.
sad. So sad.
Yeah, stop watching us and go to YouTube, okay?
I said
That's what
later,
Corona.
on a
That's
bad
what Jeff
day.
said. You know? Okay, all right. Yeah. So what a good salesperson for YouTube.
Redirect them.
it's okay. Hopefully they're
I
watching
don't-
this on YouTube.
I
So.
own
Okay,
stock.
all right.
I own stock.
Nice. No, that's good, man. I mean, we Jeff has a lot of other information. Would you like to share a lot of information since you're the master blender?
Smoke Aganorsa cigars. They're wonderful.
There you go.
They're delicious.
You know,
I mean, they are great cigars. They're great people. Of course, you could tell from one of them. I'm gonna let you guys pick which one.
I think there was a shot at me. I'm pretty sure.
Either or. You know, I want to take a shot at one of you a little bit, but no. It's a great company. I mean, every cigar I've had, you know, from Aganorsa
And I
has been
think
fantastic.
the experience that you guys offer too when you go to do the events at the lounges and stuff is pretty cool. I mean, no one else is doing it as far as I've seen. Obviously, no one as big as Aganorsa Leaf is doing it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen it, but
Yeah,
it's
even-
a very unique experience.
Yeah, even when Alex did it the first time, like how was it last year? Or
No. I mean,
longer
it was
than that?
it was mid this year.
Mid this year, yeah. When he did it and I didn't go to it, and he's sending us videos and stuff, I'm like, what the hell? That looks cool as hell. You know, why didn't you tell us about it? He's like, dude, I just showed up and they were here, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then you guys did it last night too.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah. And then last night I passed out at like 8:00. So they're all texting. I woke up to like 100 text messages, and I'm like, are you serious right now? Like 2 times I missed it.
We brought the experience to you.
you
That's
know,
true, and I
here-
appreciate that.
here's I'm gonna drop a little bit more knowledge.
Okay.
Okay. So, like I said, I was at Drew Estate for 19 years, and coming from I was undercover security at Disneyland before then.
Ooh.
I have great stories about that, but that's for probably the Sunday morning show. But going into the cigar industry, I didn't know anything. I literally I knew you cut one end, you light the other. So as I'm learning more and more about the cigar industry, and on top of that, learning about a very non-traditional cigar in the very traditional cigar world, all these people are telling me all these stories about the tobacco, about this and that, whatever. So I never questioned them about, well, what if, or what does that do? Or I just took these stories and I just put them in my own words, and then for 19 years go out and I tell all these stories, this and that, whatever. Okay, why did I say this? Because when Eduardo Fernandez hired me, then he's like, well, can you come down to the factory? And I'd love to take you around the factory for 3 days. And, we do things good, but I know we can always do things better. And come in and let me know what you think, and this and that, whatever. So I literally go down, And when a billionaire tells you he's going to pick you up at the Managua airport, you know, what do you think? You know, like you're thinking, okay, all right, well, it's going to be, you know, probably the one Escalade in Nicaragua and, you know, whatever, this and that, whatever. And no, Eduardo being Eduardo is literally waiting for me at baggage claim. He's like, Fabian. I'm like, Eduardo, hey, how you doing? And literally he drives me up to Esteli, which is a 3.5 hour drive. And during the 3.5 hours, he tells me all these stories and this and that, whatever. And we finally get to the factory. And right when we get to the factory, he like shows me the keys. He goes, all right, these are the keys to the factory. I'm like, yo, dude, like I've been in this industry for 19 years. That doesn't mean I know how to run a factory, right? And he goes, no, I'm not giving you the keys to the factory. But what I'm telling you is there's no closed door. There's full transparency. Ask a question everything, because we can always do things better. You're a new set of eyes that comes from some completely different. So sometimes we're, you know, pigeon. We have a very tunnel like vision, and we don't really see the outside. So we want you to question everything. Okay, all right. So I learned more in 3 days with Eduardo than I did in 19 years about tobacco. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's one of the things that I learned, and I'm not here. Here's the legal mumbo jumbo. I'm not here to tell you Aganorsa does it better. Other companies do it better, this and that, whatever. Okay, what I'm going to give you are facts, and then you can, from those facts and from your cigar knowledge, you're going to realize what you think is best and what not. Okay, have you guys been to a cigar factory?
Yes.
Okay, so I've been to 8 of them, right? So a whole bunch of them, and I'm sure. Tell me if I'm wrong or not, but they take you. This is the leaves. We're drying the leaves. Then look at these beautiful pilones. Pilones are made out of bunches, 50 leaves of pilone, and then we rotate the pilones because the pilones get to certain degrees. And as we're rotating them, we're wetting the leaves, and then we're putting them up there, and then we have their huge meat thermometer that goes in the middle, and our pilones are anywhere between 131 degrees to 135 degrees, and the whole process lasts 9 to 12 months. And then look how beautiful these dark leaves are after 9 to 12 months. It's so beautiful. Maduro's like dark. You've heard that.
Yeah.
Every manufacturer in Nicaragua, Honduras, and Dominican. Again, I haven't been to every single one of them, but I've been enough to enough of them. They all pretty much tell you that whole story. Mm. Okay, so now I'm at Aganorsa, and I'm walking through the warehouse of pilones and pilones and pilones. And then Eduardo's like, all right, so look at this. They're in the process of moving the pilones, the leaves on the bottom, rotating the pilones, the bunches and the bunches. And as I'm looking, I'm like, okay, all right, that's cool. And then Eduardo's like, well, do you see something that most likely everyone else uses that we don't? I'm like, yeah, water. He's like, that's right, Fabian. I'm like, other manufacturers say the secret ingredient is water. For us at Aganorsa, the secret ingredient is time. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why don't you add any water? I mean, doesn't the water create the heat and the combustion and this and whatever? He's like, no. He's like, do you take a shower in the morning? I'm like, yes,
mostly.
I do.
Sometimes.
It's like, why?
He did today.
and then it's like, well, when you take a shower, what happens when you take a shower? You're washing off all the oils and the smells off your skin. What do you think happens every time water is introduced to the leaf? Now, I'm not saying that someone's scrubbing the leaf with water, but anytime you put water on the leaf, you have a chance of the oils.
Washing the flavor away.
Washing the oils off.
Yeah.
And when the heat index or the polone on the center is 131 to 135 degrees, you also have a higher chance of burning some of those oils off.
Yeah.
Our polones at our factory are anywhere between 110 to 115 degrees. So there's a 20 degree difference, right?
So there needs to be more time.
So our polones at Aganorsa take 2 years to 2 years and 2 months for the whole process to go through. And yet they're still rotated the same amount of time as any other manufacturer, but it's just a longer process. Now don't take my word for it. Is you can take any Maduro off of our lines, compare it to any other Maduro from any other lines, and our Maduros are not going to be as dark. They're not going to be as dark because we're not, in a sense, cooking our tobacco, because our tobacco, it doesn't reach those high temperatures on the inside, right? when we're sitting here and we're smoking cigars and we're getting the flavors, when we did the Fumas, you're getting the flavors. What are you getting the flavors from? It's the oils on the leaf. Okay. So not only does our process, which was told to us by Cubans who've been doing it for 450 years, that's how the Cubans actually do it, is they do it that way. That's how our tobacco is always more flavorful than other people. All the other manufacturers, it could be very easily for them to do it the same way, right? But because a lot of those manufacturers aren't tobacco growers, they need to push that tobacco through the system a lot more, because they're buying tobacco this year, they're going through the process next year, this and that, whatever. They need to make that tobacco into cigars to sell it, right? Because they need to recoup that money that they put up front. Technically, for us, we never put any money up front because we're all the way from the beginning of the seed. So yeah, technically, when we bought the seeds or whatever, that's when we put the money in. But we can have slow progress because we have plenty of tobacco in the pipeline and whatnot. So our true ingredient is, you know, as they say, like your mom always says, hey, my special ingredient when I'm making dinner is love, right? Yeah, okay, we have love, lots of love in Aganorsa, but our secret ingredient is time. So you go out there and sometimes, because our Maduros aren't necessarily as dark, you can have a box of JFR Corojo right next to a box of JFR Maduro, and it's kind of like, which one's which? Because our Corojos are a little bit darker, our Maduros are a little lighter, and they kind of look the same a little bit. You know, you have to look at the band. One's gold and one's silver, and that tells you which one's which. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the cool things that I learned at Aganorsa, and I make a point to tell people, not necessarily, oh, we're doing it the right way. This is our way of doing it. And then it makes sense. It truly does.
No,
So
I mean, it's good to have a second set of eyes, you know, to be able to witness that, because we've had people on the show where they will go to factories, they'll work in the factories, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I wasn't allowed to go in that room. They're doing stuff in there, whatever. Oh, I can't go in there. I can't go in there. So the fact that he was willing to be like, hey, listen, here are the keys. Let me show you around any open door. I mean, that's amazing. It's transparent. And any good restaurant, you know, you're like, oh, a fine dining establishment, you're like, I'm gonna go there for my anniversary. I love that place, whatever.
Right, you want to sit at the chef's table, see what's going on in the back.
And they'll tell you exactly what they're doing. You know, the restaurants that are hiding stuff, then that's when you're like, you know, that food's okay. I mean, I'm sure some of them are fantastic, but even if you ask them, you know, they'll tell you. But it's just amazing the fact that he picked you up and he's like, yep, anywhere you want to go. Let's go check it out.
Is this the karaoke portion where we sing that song? Time is on my side.
oh, no.
You're supposed to say, yes, it is. Come on, man. We rehearsed this all night.
I'm sorry, man.
God.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I tried
It's
to...
everything you ever want.
There we go, baby. Yeah.
Everything you ever need.
Why do you think
And it's here right in front of you. Aganorsa tobacco for the rest of your life.
You guys have your own theme song too.
I could really tell they practiced this last night. That's why he was late. He didn't sleep all night, you know?
I'm surprised I have a voice this morning. So also talking about going to the factory and, you know, not being handed a set of keys at day one or given a very cool varsity jacket.
It wasn't even day
5.
1. This is prior to day 1. This is just
exactly.
like, hey, we're considering you.
I don't got a jacket. But no, so going into...
And you're a master blender. I can't believe that.
My jacket's going to say Master Blender.
The Connecticut.
So, how I wanted to learn the entire process from beginning to end, becoming a Master Blender for Aganorsa, which is not true. What is true, going into one of the barns and seeing all our tobacco and, you know, people working very hard, climbing exponentially 5 rows up. I don't even know how big the barn was that we
It's
were
a
in.
curing barn.
Curing barn, yes. Took me 2 seconds, and I happened to be always the last guy walking in the room, just like today. Eduardo happened to be beside me. I go, Eduardo. Now, they're on the very top rung right now, right? They're moving stuff. And I go, can I go up there and help them move tobacco? And he goes, yeah, just be careful. So I go climbing up, climb. It gets exponentially warmer and warmer and warmer. The part that I found very interesting is I'm clutched onto these, you know, tree logs with my legs and arms and moving very carefully. These guys, I don't even know if their legs were wrapped around the poles or how they were even able to balance themselves. Was truly unique. But I'm up there moving tobacco with them, right? Hey, it's okay, amigo. And yeah, okay, I'm moving it over. And as I'm like, oh, don't fall in, you know. And Terrence, of course, he's like, you know, he's counting heads, you know, like, because we're all children, grown children. And he goes, where's Groovy? He looks up and he goes, get down from there. Get down from there right now. And I'm like, no. Eduardo said I could come up here. Leave me alone, you know. I was up there 2 minutes. And then I became a master blender.
As, you know, as a certified aerospace engineer on here, you know, hot air does rise. So That's why it got warmer
That
when we went
makes
up.
All right, Doogie Howser.
That's awesome though. And then like any good business too, you know, like you said, Eduardo, all those guys have been doing it for so long. They have their certain set of ways of doing things. It's smart to bring in a new set of eyes because you might be missing something. Just like any business, I've been doing it for this way for so long, but you should be open to new ideas, new ways of doing things, because then, you know, that company might become twice as better.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is well, it's not necessarily cool, but it's cool for us. In Cuba, there's a small little rule that when you turn 60 years old, the government makes you retire. Whether you're ready to retire or you don't want to retire, you're retired the second you turn 60. Okay, all right. But Eduardo, being Cuban, then contacts some of those guys and, hey, you still want to work? And then they come and they start working for us. We have a guy, and I won't
What's
even.
his name?
They're not working. They're hanging out.
Well, no, they're working. We have a dude who's 83 years old, and he's been in the tobacco industry for 61 years, and he's in charge of all our growing farms in Jalapa.
Wow.
And his name is Chandito.
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 And I think he has a wife that's like 31, and he has like a 6-year-old or something. Like, God
Boy,
bless.
Facebook stalker or what?
No,
Like,
they told us that when we met the guy. I was like,
Oh.
God bless him. I shook his
you
hand. I was like,
understood
very
what he
impressed.
said because I was with a whole bunch of dudes and no one understood what he was saying. It was some like backwoods Cuban
Again,
stuff.
As a,
Like,
as
it's
a
a
master
Rosetta
blender,
Stone.
you have to be able to speak Spanish.
oh, okay, all right.
Again, mi favorito. You have an adorable
Yeah.
baby, right? That's
Yeah.
what it means.
Well, and then the other guy who's actually in charge of everything, is Jacinto, and Jacinto is 63 years old. And he's been in the tobacco industry for like 41 years or 40 years. So they have such knowledgeable information which they pass on, and you know they do it they do it a certain way, and that way works, right? That way works, but also all the time is as things evolve a little bit, you want to have a fresh set of eyes and whatnot. Like for instance, there's 2 draw test machines, right? Now I'm really pulling back the curtain. There's 2 draw testing machines, and Eduardo's like, all right, so we make on average about 24 to 27,000 cigars a day, and all these cigars are being draw tested and this and that, whatever. I'm like, wait a second. We make 25,000 cigars, and you're telling me these 2 dudes draw test 25 cigars, you know, while they're sitting there drinking coffee? I'm like, yeah.
Same thing we're drinking right now.
Most likely they're not necessarily. So then Eduardo turns around, he asks something in Spanish, and the other guy's like, yeah, no, we draw test like 1 out of every 10 cigars or this and that, whatever. I'm like, all right, well, hey, whatever you do, but you know, if you're telling me you're draw testing every single cigar, you better be draw testing every cigar. So now they've actually changed, to my knowledge, they changed it. They actually got a couple more draw testing machines, and they're actually draw testing every single machine,
Oh, wow.
every single cigar. But it's just like, you know, little things like that where I was both the most nervous ever in 20 years in the cigar industry, where I'm walking around with Eduardo, and you gotta understand, for pretty much before I got in the Aganorsa, I was a sweet guy. I was acid, Sweet Jane, like I said,
still
I
sweet.
made Sweet Jane. I was smoking nothing but sweet cigars. Yeah, I had the occasional Undercrown, I had the occasional Liga, whatever, but I never really truly enjoyed those cigars because I didn't really know what to look for. I actually look forward to smoking a Liga now because I can actually pick out some of those. Oh wait, there's Aganorsa tobacco in there, right? So now it is.
I forgot to mention Drew earlier. I think they're the biggest purchaser of second
after Altadis.
Thank you.
But we're walking through these Palones, and all of a sudden, Eduardo's like, let's try this cigar. Let's try this tobacco. So he literally pulls a leaf and deveins it, and then we have 2 parts, and then he creates a little fuma. He's like, all right, try this. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. I've never done this before, but okay, let's do this. So as you guys did right here, I smell it. I take a puff, before pre-light draw, a puff, and I start smoking it. And then all of a sudden, Eduardo's like, what do you taste? And I'm like, holy crap. It's like, this guy's going to think I'm an imposter. Like, what am I tasting? It's not sweet. Like, what am I supposed to be tasting? Like, what? So finally, I just closed my eyes, and I took 1 big puff from this fuma, and I told myself, whatever I think I'm tasting, I'm just gonna say. And if he you know says anything about it, I'm like, well, listen, we have different taste buds, right? This is my opinion. I could be right. You could be whatever. You have your own. So I literally take a puff, and then I describe what I'm tasting, and then he grabs grabs a little Fuma, and then he cuts the tip, and then he tries it, and then he takes a puff. He's like, "Man, you have a good taste palate." And I'm like, that's where I'm like, yes, I was a cigar taster this whole time. I just never knew about it. You know?
Is that how you got the jacket?
No, I got the jacket by ordering it on Instagram. That's how I got the jacket. But yeah, well, I won't say what shows up on your Instagram feed. Mine is like Letterman jackets and stuff, but yours, I took a sneak peek.
So we got a master blender and then a certified taste tester.
I'm a certified taste tester. I know exactly what I'm tasting every time I taste a cigar. Now, with that said, is Paul Palmer. You guys know Paul Palmer?
Paul's great.
Paul is the president of Aganorsa.
Okay, he's the palate.
He literally is the palate. He's one of those guys. I would say there's very, very few. If you were to put like a Mount Rushmore of cigar tasters, Paul I would put up there. Dion I would put up there, because you can give them an unbanded cigar and they can literally tell you which country, which farm, and most likely which year, and Dion in some certainty which lot on the farm that tobacco came from. I mean, it's insane, right?
We'll give him the base of cigar and then we'll see how good he is.
Yeah, you do that. He actually, if you guys ever talk to Eric Espinoza, you ask Eric Espinoza about Dion's palate, and he has a phenomenal story about it.
Okay.
So that's a story you got to ask Eric Espinoza. But Paul and I sit down when I'm in the office, and he gives me an unbanded cigar. He's like, all right, let's try this. And that's the coolest part, is like he actually wants to help me out, and he wants to like teach me about stuff as I'm trying to figure things out with other things, sales and international and marketing, and let's get more ashtrays and whatnot. He wants to know, no, just relax. I want you to understand the tobacco and this and that. I'm like, this dude could spend his time any way he wants to, but he wants to spend his time like teach me. So it's cool. So what I've noticed is the way I describe cigars are very different than what a true tobacco person would describe a cigar like, but we get to the same point. Mm-hmm. Like I say woodsy, but woodsy to some people is very leathery.
Yeah. Okay,
right.
yeah.
So it's two different ways, but we get to the final. So it's a great conversation. It opens up great conversations between the two, because we're understanding where, I don't want to say like old school versus new school, but it just gives a great conversation. That's my favorite time of the day, is when he comes to my office and he goes, okay, you've been on the computer for too long. It's time to smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
Wait, I mean, you got an office too?
I got a desk
and a jacket.
I got a desk.
But yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Even with Alex's girlfriend, she would, when they started dating, she didn't smoke any cigars, but then she started tasting it, and she would give the most random flavors, but it would be of common items
like
that,
Cinnamon Toast Crunch and marshmallow and stuff like that.
Yeah, so she would like just take a puff and like she'd try and be like, yeah, this reminds me of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and then but from that, we would post the TikToks and stuff. People would be able to, and we would be able to like bring that back and be like, oh, okay, it has notes of cinnamon, it has notes of whatever, like you said, leather and earth or woody. So we would be able to dissect what she said, bring it back to those natural flavors, and then put out what it actually, tastes like to a cigar enthusiast.
Yeah.
And when she started doing that, it was fantastic, just because we're like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. It does taste like that.
Did she go, these taste like Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
I think so,
like,
yeah.
This does taste like
Pretty
Cinnamon
much.
Toast Crunch.
Good job, director.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm going to stay with that. I'm sorry.
I'll take it. Executive Master Blender.
Thank you.
Yes.
Man, well, this has been great. I appreciate you guys coming on, seriously. Yeah.
Of
You
course,
shared a
man.
lot
Our
of
pleasure.
knowledge. I think this is going to be a great episode for the viewers.
Now, I have one small favor to ask.
Sure.
Don't tell Terrence I did this, because Terrence loves being on all the podcasts, and he would be very mad at me.
Well, he's
especially-
invited to come on anytime, too. Yeah.
He-
Oh,
of course.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
He is
No,
so
we're not
upset
excluding
he
him.
cannot be here.
Yeah, he's so upset.
And anytime
Tell
you get
him
a
he's
chance,
welcome.
take a-
Anytime, yeah.
Take a picture with another Aganorsa lover, do the flex, make sure there's 3 of you, and text the picture to Terrence, and always put 3 best friends, right? So he knows he's not included in that group, and he'll pace even quicker than he normally does, and his relaxing khakis and loafers, and it's strange. It's very,
Yeah, we'll have him.
Great guy, though.
We'll have him on here by himself.
Yeah, and he
we'll
can correct everything you guys said.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, exactly.
We'll just
Exactly.
talk about the whole time how he felt excluded from this one.
Absolutely.
Yep. Now, it's going to have to be a portable mic, and someone's gonna have to be on the camera because he's
Chasing him.
Doesn't really stand still too long. So but yeah.
That's fine. We can deal with that. We can deal with it.
You're gonna need more running room in here. So.
We'll do it.
Terrence, we love you.
Love you, buddy.
Yes.
We'll do it on site. You know?
Yes, exactly.
Do you guys go down to Miami often or no?
Not often, but we're making more trips down there. Yeah.
Okay,
Stop by.
Absolutely.
I challenge you guys. Okay.
Ooh,
So in our factory or in our warehouse, we have Elizabeth, who is a Master 10 roller, and it's the highest of the highest rolling levels that you can get in the Cuban Rolling Academy, which in a sense pretty much goes, hey Elizabeth, here's some tobacco. I would like this size. Without any mold, with just a piece of newspaper, she will know exactly how much tobacco to use, and then 5 minutes later, she will make you the most beautiful, whatever size you want.
Wow.
So, what I challenge you guys to is, all you guys come down, and we will see who the best master roller is between you guys.
Okay.
And we will have her judge.
Okay. Let's do that. Yeah.
I like that idea. Yeah, let's go.
And the best part, if you try to make one, she'll make 10 to your one. Truly.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've done that. Actually, there's a show. Our Tim I was talking about came down and he did that with Terrence. And it just so happens, even though Terrence has been learning and trying to roll a cigar, Tim rolled a better cigar than he did. But and Elizabeth is out there with her Spanish going, "You're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong." But no, I mean, it's fun and it's a cool interactive thing, and it will truly show your audience that rolling a cigar is an art. Because a lot of people take that for granted because they're sitting back in their luscious big chair with whatever they're drinking, and they're enjoying their very well rolled cigar, very well burned cigar, and the draws, and they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, it's easy. It's not as easy as you think, and when you're out there trying to do one, you're like, holy crap, this is hard.
Yeah.
Like Aganorsa would not be Aganorsa if they had me rolling cigars.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, there'd be more ammunition for Ukraine if I was rolling cigars, right? But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, I invite you guys to come down to Miami, to our warehouse. We'll set that up and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And make sure you stop in the front office, say hi to Maritza and Gigi. These ladies save my hiney on a daily basis with messed up orders that I turn in. And Maritza, who's your favorite now? Oh,
I am.
You got a jacket.
Number one.
You got a jacket.
Number one.
No.
No, I appreciate
That's my
the
girl.
offer. Yeah, seriously.
All right.
We're definitely going to schedule that with you
So
guys.
basically, we have to go up to Jersey with the cigar host, learn how to roll a cigar. So this way, when we go there,
They're sitting right in front of us.
Wow. He's
and
gonna
then
be
when we
training.
go, they're going to be like, "Oh my God, the cigar guys did a pretty good job."
He's
Well,
taking this challenge serious.
It's a challenge between you guys,
Of
right?
course,
To
yeah.
see who the best master roller is for you guys. So I'm not going to be in the challenge because I'm going to be dead last no matter what, right? But I'll be there telling stories, so it is what it is.
And if you need to know the blend, just call me. I got it.
Yeah.
Master Blender.
Thank you.
Master blender.
Master blender, yeah.
We're so lucky to have a master blender on this show.
We really are. Every time.
know-
It's a pleasure.
I feel like I can't even sit here in front of you. You know what I mean? It's just.
You're amongst royalty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know. And I have a hat on. I'm sorry for being disrespectful.
We'll let it slide. You're 16. Still learning.
Oh, man. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys, again, very much for coming on, for sharing your knowledge and everything that you've told us. It's
Gentlemen,
been a pleasure.
thank you for having us.
But make sure you guys
Thank you.
subscribe to the Cigar Guys podcast and hit the notification bell so you can stay updated when we upload new episodes. All our social media is in the description as well. A bunch of short clips for you to review. But again, check out Aganorsa Leaf. Go to your local lounge. Ask for some different cigars to try. They got a lot of great stuff. Everything we've had has been phenomenal. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Everyone flex in unison. Ha! And then my best Terrence Riley, Cigar Guys.